Vitality is our ability to have spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical bliss. Some call it paradise. We call it a game.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your host, femininity coach, and author of the Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So what we got for you today is, a little bit of prediction. I'm on my, what was her name? Cleo. I'm on my Cleo theme, my Aunt Cleo, with my little crystal ball or whatever. If Trump is running again for the presidency, can't you see Michelle Obama running? Just think about that for a moment. Just think about it for a moment. Because if Trump run again, who are you running against? Because I guarantee you, if Biden runs against him again, he won't win a second time. You understand what I mean? Not going to happen. So the next runner-up could be Michelle Obama. I'm going to read you a little bit of an article that we're going to take a look at together. And this is actually, all right, let's take a look. I'm going to try to make it bigger. Is Michelle Obama running for office? I had to find my purpose again. Okay, introduced by late show host Stephen Colbert as America's mom, former First Lady Michelle Obama spent the better part of an hour on Monday night with Colbert, promoting her new book, discussing her empty nest bliss, and mostly discussing her mental health during COVID, the looping in my head, as she described it, in her search for quote unquote purpose. It remains to be seen whether Michelle Obama plans to run for elective office, but her book tour, her appearance on Colbert, and what she said on air is prompting speculation. Obama said her book, The Light We Carry, Overcoming in Uncertain Times, was a COVID project. She said that her goal in writing it is to start a conversation. When the pandemic hit, Obama said, we just shut down. And I think a lot of people locked at home, just sort of watching the world seemingly fall apart before our very eyes. I started kind of looping in my head, wondering, like a lot of people, how do we get here and how are we going to get out? And I get questions all the time. I'm asked, how do you stay high when the world feels like it's in a low place? And this book is my best answer, So I spent a lot of time kind of meditating and trying to get out of my head and trying to figure out what tools I could use to keep myself lifted, not to fall into depression and hopelessness. And so I'm offering some of the tools that I used. But the goal for me through this book is to start a conversation, because we need to reconnect. I don't think we don't do well in isolation. We are all feeling anxious. We are all feeling unseen, unheard. We're afraid. We don't know what is causing that fear. We don't know how to control it and how to quiet that fearful mind. And I'm no different. I had to work my way out of my hole and find my purpose again. Obama says she's learned she has to quiet the fearful mind by learning how to decode when that fear is going to help us and when it is holding us back. She said people in the public eye, such as Colbert, get over their fear because they practice overcoming it. And what's on the other side, if you do it well, if you do it right, is opportunity. It's openness. It's purpose. It's possibility, she said. And fearful minds are isolated and their worlds become small. And I think too many of us are living in our small world, in our small minds, reinforced with our thoughts, the loop in our head. And then if you have leaders who are willing to take advantage of that and lead with fear and prey on that instinct, then we fall over in the ditch. Notably, Obama was speaking the day before Donald Trump is expected to announce his third presidential run. Try something purposeful. Striking a bipartisan note, Obama said most Americans are reasonable, decent people, regardless of political party, regardless of party. And we've been so disconnected from each other that we don't get our own information about each other. We're hearing it through the media. We're reading it on our phones, and we're not interacting with people who don't agree with us. Knowing that just with the understanding that your worries come from a place too, your fear comes from, the anxiety of not having a job. You don't know how your life is going to turn out. Kids who are out here causing trouble, nobody's invested in them. We have to find a way to find empathy again for each other so that we're not blaming one another. We're not demonizing one another. But that starts with understanding. And where did that fear come from? So for me, part of the meditation in that chapter of the book is me trying to figure out, how do I handle fear? I talk about one of the most scared times in my life in the book. And look, I grew up in the inner city, things to really be afraid of. But the most afraid I was when my husband came to me and said he wanted to run for president of the United States. True, that's an uncertain time. And he said if I wasn't on board, he'd shut the whole thing down. And I sort of point out, with my fear alone, I could have changed the course of history, but I didn't. I said yes. Eventually. We're here. We did it. But in the decision I was making, I was like, why would I say no to my husband's dream? What would cause me not to do it? And it was change. I didn't want to change anything. I didn't want to leave the home I knew. I didn't want to leave the friends I knew. I didn't want change. I didn't want discomfort. And I had to say to myself, is that a reason not to try something purposeful? Is that really what I say to my kids when they're older and I'm talking to my grandchildren and they start talking about the time their father wanted to be president, but oh no, little scared grandma here wanted to stay in her same house and rock in her chair? Colbert never asked her the obvious question, are you planning to run for elective office? But in a 2020 interview, Michelle Obama, asked by ABC's Robin Roberts if she hoped Joe Biden would run again, said, I will have to see. So we are going to stop sharing. It's interesting because it sort of makes sense if you think about it, right? For Michelle Obama to enter the presidential race. Because like I said, Biden was put in basically off the back of not wanting Trump in, not because Biden was so competent. And as we see, Biden is not competent, okay? And that could be due to a couple of different things. First of all, he's just not a good president. Second of all, he's like ancient. Then, not to mention, not only is Biden incompetent, his running mate Kamala Harris ran off of being a Black woman and the first Black woman to achieve that office as the vice president, only for her to turn around and deny identifying as a Black woman at all. She started identifying as Indian, okay? So she did not identify and does not identify as a Black woman anymore. If you ask her that, she's going to say no, right? And on top of that, nobody likes Kamala. Kamala in and of herself is incompetent. She sticks her foot in her mouth almost every time she makes some type of speech in front of somebody. I don't know who writes her speeches or if she's ad-libbing them or whatever she's doing. But her office is very chaotic. Even her staff has complained about her and her chaos, not being able to, she doesn't communicate well. They have trouble planning around her because she just ups and does things. So she's very disorganized and nobody really likes her attitude. I have not seen really good reviews of the people who are around her professionally. Nobody likes Kamala, okay? So she can't run by herself. And I know that was something that people speculated, that Biden would pass away or something like that, and then it would eventually leave Kamala Harris to ascend to the presidential seat, right? But I don't think that that's going to happen, just because people don't have any confidence at all in Kamala Harris's competence either, or her ability to do anything. No, and again, nobody likes her, right? So if the race was between her and Trump's gonna win, just because nobody likes Kamala. But if it's Michelle Obama against Trump, that might be a different thing, because Trump is running again, and he's actually still well loved by the greater number of white Americans, right? Especially rural whites. They love Trump. They never stopped supporting him. They never stopped wanting him to be in office and things of that nature. So he's gonna have the white male vote and he's gonna have the white female vote, right? So he's pretty much looking like a shoe-in unless you put him up against Michelle. Okay, because like I said, Biden has proved himself incompetent. Lots of things that Biden has done in his presidency that nobody is really rocking with. The economy suffered too bad. The inflation was too bad. Too many policies that people didn't agree with. He reneged on a lot of campaign promises. He didn't keep up with the stimulus checks, and people were still recovering from the pandemic and things like that. He snatched back all the funding from the HBCUs. So a lot of Black support that he got pretty much decided they weren't going to vote for him anymore just off of the basis of that. And a lot of white people didn't like the way in which Ukraine is being supported financially by our government, especially since the people of the United States are still financially recovering from the pandemic and the shutdown. A lot of businesses went under and will not recover. Some are still struggling to do so. A lot of individuals are still struggling. And then when inflation did what it did, it just made everything more difficult. So, you know, a lot of people aren't liking the way in which the country's being handled. There are a couple of things, okay? Michelle Obama could run. Even though she doesn't really have any real political presence, right? The only thing that she's ever done has been to be the former first lady. But Michelle doesn't have any strong political stances. I mean, she's going to go with the Democratic Party. She's going to go with that. So we already know, right? But she's never come out and had no strong political track record, unlike a Hillary Clinton. Like Hillary made sense to a certain degree because even though she was the first lady, you could tell that she was like involved politically, right? She wasn't just sitting by being the first lady. She was like really into it. So she had political opinions and a platform that she wanted to run on. Michelle Obama doesn't have that, but what she does have is popularity. What she does have is the backing of Barack. So a lot of times, so this could go one of two ways, right? Because I can actually see her divorcing Barack Obama. I can kind of see that. And the reason why I can kind of see that is because her talking about that purpose and empty nesting and all that kind of stuff, that's the talk that a lot of these women get to doing when they, right before they leave you. Okay, they get to trying to find themselves and finding who they are inside, you know, and all that foolishness. That's the type of talk that they do. That's the I'm in another 6 months, I'm gonna file for divorce. That's that kind of talk. So it could go one or two ways. She could divorce Barack, start dating or marry a rich white man. This is gonna be white. Trust and believe, not gonna be Black. It's gonna be a white man. If this does happen, it's gonna be a white man. It's gonna be a rich white man. Probably some obscure white man. He's not famous or whatever, but he's like a millionaire or billionaire or something like that. And then he's going to back her campaign and all that sort of thing. And what that's going to do is that's going to give hope to the divestors. The long game to that is to truly encourage the further division between Black men and Black women by encouraging Black women to believe that white men are wanting them in droves. Because look at, you know, Michelle Obama, she left one powerful Black man to be with a white man that's just as powerful or whatever or more, and yada, yada, yada. Because in order to be in office like that, it seems like you got to have a white man. Ask Ketanji Brown, ask Kamala Harris, you know, even though she don't identify as Black, her husband is white, okay? So all of that. So it could go that way. Or she can remain married to Barack, and everybody will basically see this as Barack's third term, that he's really running the presidency, even though he can't legally take office anymore. It'll be vicariously through her. Like I said, she doesn't have any political real prowess, but he does, right? He has political experience, and he has experience in the presidential seat. So therefore, if Michelle Obama ran, we would basically be looking at another Barack Obama administration just with Michelle's name on it. And then it's a historic thing. And so since it's Trump, there's a possibility of her winning just based on Trump's track record, because even though he would get the white vote, his propensity to lean towards white nationalism might get him actually in trouble. And we know that Black women are going to overwhelmingly vote for Michelle Obama no matter what. And she's going to be running under the Democratic Party. So we know that that's the hyena party. So that's just going to be a foregone conclusion. Okay. But it's going to be a real bad look either way, because if she runs and loses, then Black women have to take yet another political L. Thank you, Stacey Abrams. Right? Another political L they're going to have to take. Right? So Black women are going to be basically like, okay, y'all are incompetent. Y'all run for these offices, but nobody actually wants to vote for you. No one wants you in charge. Or if she wins, the country's in trouble, because what does Michelle Obama know? You know what I'm saying? About running a country. Who's going to respect her? You know, she's going to get respect in foreign policies. She knows how to run the economy. She knows how to run, you know what I'm saying? Does she even know how to pick her cabinet properly? You understand? So the country's going to be in trouble. And then another Democratic a term for presidency, another Democratic administration. This is going down the tubes really fast. So either way, it's going to be a bad thing, but I can see it happening. And if it does happen, remember that you heard it here first on the Crimson Cure channel, right? Just remember, just got my Cleo thing going, right? Then my Miss Cleo, not Aunt Cleo, my Miss Cleo. But anyway, before we wrap this up, I want to draw everybody's attention to the petition we have against Black Lives Matter. Let's get that next milestone of 15,000 signatures. And I am so pleased to be able to report that we have completed the first 2 steps of 6 of the 6-step initiative. Remember that the first one was to overcome that milestone of 10,000 initial signatures, which we have done. But we've also completed step 2, which was to circulate a global press release of the petition, which we have also done. Okay. And we know that that's going to be the first of many, but this puts this is like more than 1 million eyes on this petition, which we definitely need in order to achieve our goal of 100,000 signatures. This helps us to get through each one of these 6 steps in this initiative. So we're actively working on the nomination of a national leader or spokesperson for the initiative. We definitely have some names in the hat that we are looking at. So the check mark for number 3 should be coming up sooner rather than later. But if you want to be a part of holding Black Lives Matter accountable for the more than $100 million theft of funds from the Black community, then please go into the description box, hit the link for the petition, sign, share, and contribute to it if you can. Also, jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your host, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.
Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor, who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.